Many practices in the school food environment have improved in recent years. That according to a recent study from the University of Illinois at Chicago and published in the September issue of the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Researchers found that school garden programs, farm-to-school programs, and initiatives to include more whole grains and lower fat milk in lunches improved the most, with 32% of elementary school-age children overweight or obese. Schools are a key focus for improving our kids' health and influencing healthy eating behaviors. Federal legislation required school districts participating in the National School Lunch Program to adopt and implement a wellness policy by the first day of the 2006-2007 school year. They asked that it include, among other things, goals for nutrition education and nutrition guidelines for what are known as competitive food and beverages, those food items sold in vending machines, bake sales, served at class parties, and so on. These policies have generally been developed by districts, but it was unclear as to the extent the policies had changed the school environment. To learn more about the changes in the school food environment, researchers looked at nationally representative cross-sectional survey data gathered by Bridging the Gap during the 2006-2007 school year, the first year after the wellness policy mandate took place, and the 2009-2010 school years from a total of 1,830 unique schools. 16 topics were assessed on the surveys, and topics fell into 3 categories: competitive foods, school lunches, and other food environments. Each school score could range between 0 and 100, with higher scores indicating a healthier school environment. About twice as many public schools were surveyed than private schools. The results coming up when we continue.
Monsanto, producing more, conserving more, improving farmers' lives. That's sustainable agriculture. More at producemoreconservemore.com.
Several practices changed significantly in both study periods. In public schools, more whole grains were served. 15.3% went up to 22.6%. More low-fat milk was offered, 21.5% to 35.2%. And there was an increase in school gardens and farm-to-school programs from 15.8% to almost double of that, 33.1%. But the rate of having a food and nutrition practitioner on staff decreased from 34.7% to just 21.9%. In private schools, there were large increases for low-fat milk, school gardens and farm-to-school programs, and nutrition education. And not offering lunches from commercial sources increased from 52.2% to 64.4%. Now, in the second study period, there were also some drastic differences between public and private schools. Here's an example. They compared to private schools. Public schools were more likely to serve fresh fruit, 66.1% versus 48.8%. To have more fundraising restrictions, 41% to 27%. And to have a food and nutrition practitioner on staff. Get this, 21.9% versus 7.2%. In general, scores were higher among public schools versus private schools. In addition, scores were higher in the West, South, Central U.S. and the Pacific U.S. versus extremely low scores in East, North, Central U.S. Scores for suburban schools and rural schools were lower than scores from urban schools. Though progress was made, the average score in public schools during 2006-2007 was just 50.1. Now, it increased to 53.5 by the year 2009-2010, and the reality is that this is just a small improvement. The average score in private schools during the same period was just 37.2%. That increased to 42.4. Now, in the 2009-2010 school year, fewer than 1 in 4 schools on a regular basis offered whole grains at lunch. Just 1/3 offered only lower fat lunch milks. So where do we go from here? Well, we're on the right track, but a lot more needs to be done.
The Lemper Report uploads right here 3 times a week with the information you need to stay ahead of the trends. For more, just visit thelemperreport.com.